Hey everybody, this is Peter Tusick from Humanware, and I'm with Andrew Flatris, and we today are going to bring you another classroom module for the Monarch. Today's topic is going to be file and folder management. So we're going to get a sense of not only how the file manager works to organize content, but all of the things we can do. How do we copy or how do we rename things? How do we move things to and from physical storage or, between a computer and a Monarch? So we're going to be exploring some of that. Mr. Flatris is my teacher, and he will be leading me through some of these examples. First things first, he is going to walk through how we're going to navigate the structure of the file manager, and then I will take over with lots of tasks. So, Mr. Flatris, please show me how to use the file manager.
So thanks, Peter. So currently I'm now sitting on the main menu of my Monarch, and I need to jump to the file manager. There's a couple of ways of doing that. You can use your up-down D-pad keys, you can use your space bar and your backspace to move up and down the menus, or you can use first letter navigation. So in this case, I'm going to hit the letter F, and that will take me to my item beginning with the letter F, which in this case is
File Manager, Files.
File Manager. To select that, I'm going to hit the Enter key to go into File Manager.
Storage. Drive selection.
And that's going to take me to the either last folder or the last location that I was currently exploring within my file manager. In this case, I'm sitting in the drive selection, but in some cases, it may actually take you to your documents folder. It may take you to your downloads folder. It all depends on where you last was. Now, I'm just going to take you through a way of navigating around the drive selection and navigating around the folders and selecting folders. So I'm currently sitting in the drive selection, which is probably the best place to go to at any starting point. If you ever get lost in your file manager, always go to the drive selection, and that takes you very back to the beginning where your storage, which is your internal memory and which contains all of your folders. If you plug in a USB thumb drive, that will be sitting right here as well. So let's take you back. Let's go into the storage for now. And this is going to take me in.
Alarms.
Where I have a list of all these different folders from alarms all the way to samples. Okay, now to navigate through this list, again, we can use the same menu navigations as we've done before when we're exploring the menu. So we can use our space bar to take us forward through.
Audio books.
Or we can use our D-pad controls.
Sim. Documents.
We can use first letter navigation. So if I want to jump to my folders beginning with the letter R, I can simply press letter R. You can also use your point and click method, and that's something I know that we haven't covered yet, but this is something that you can also do as you're exploring your multi-line display. You can point to a folder with one finger and then double click by using your action button, which is between dots 1 and 4, and that will take you straight to the folder. Now, when you're exploring the folder, from the browse side of things, you will notice that there is your focus indicator. So remember, the focus indicator tells you where the main focus is. So currently, I'm focused on the word recordings. So I have my 9-dot bar that's sitting just to the left of that. And just after that 9-dot kind of square box is my folder structure. And it tells me with 8 dots or a full cell that these are all folders. Now, it all comes down to whether you're using 6 or 8 lines or 10 lines on how that's displayed. Because if you've got your settings set to 10 lines, you'll probably notice a long vertical bar that's going from top to bottom. And that's exactly what I have at this place. I'm using 10 lines. So I'm just going to go ahead and increase my line spacing by using the plus key. And you'll probably just hear that say 8 lines. And so now I'm actually able to see that there are spaces in between my full cells. So I've got my focus indicator followed by my full cell and then followed by the word recordings. And that tells me that recordings is a folder because I've got that full cell in there. If you don't have a full cell, then it's just simply a file and you'll have the name of the file straight after that focus indicator. We can use all the common shortcuts that we've known to love. To go to the top of your folder list, you can use your space 1, 2, 3. That will take you to your top of your list. And of course, you've got the opposite of that, which is your space 4, 5, and 6.
Training.
Okay, so we know how to go to the top. We know how to go to the bottom. And to select a folder, we can press enter. So I'm going to navigate to this folder called training, which is at the bottom here. And I'm going to hit enter.
Training. Alice in Wonderland.brf.
Now at this point, if I have any subfolders, so subfolders is a folder within a folder. Now, a perfect example is if you have, maybe it's your English folder that you've created. You're then in your English folder, you may have literature folder. You may have other subfolders and then all of your files under that. So it's just really important to organize all of your files and folders. So you can create subfolders. And of course, you can navigate in the same way as before. So you can use your space and backspace and so forth. Okay, now that we know how to navigate through the different folders, one critical shortcut that I really would like to introduce is how can I quickly go to my drives? Okay, now when we opened up the file manager, of course, it took me to my drives. But what if I wasn't at my drive selection? And this is really useful for if you want to copy and paste files to and from a USB thumb drive, for example. So to jump straight to my drive list, I can press space with the letter D.
Drive selection menu. Storage.
And that's going to take me to my drive selection. And at this point, it will list the storage, which is my local storage of all my files and folders in. And if I have a USB pen drive plugged in, it will of course be listed there. So drive selection is a really good starting point. As I mentioned before, if you ever get lost, back to the drive selection and you can press enter on the drive of your choice. In my case is storage. So I can press enter again.
Storage. Alarms.
So that gives you a bit of a basic knowledge of how you can navigate through your file manager. And what I would like you to do now, Peter, is create a new folder. Now, this folder, I'd like you to call it Science, but I'd want you to use the context menu to create a folder because I haven't told you how to create a folder. And this really shows the power of that context menu. So, Peter, over to you.
Thanks so much, Andrew. So here I am, and I am in my storage folder, but let's just start from square one. So I'm going to press D with space to get up to drive selection, as we just reviewed.
Drive selection. Storage.
And here is storage. So again, I hit D with space, I come over the drive selection, I press enter on storage, and now
Alarms.
this is where I want to create my new folder. So I've opened the storage drive. How do I do this? Well, as Andrew told me, I am going to do this in my context menu. To open the context menu, I remember from lots of lessons that I've done, I can press space with the letter M as in menu, or I can press and hold the square button on the front of my Monarch. I'm going to press space with M and come in and actually we'll see all of what the context menu contains.
Context menu. New folder, space with N.
So we see right away that the new folder shortcut is space with the letter N as in new. Now, I can press enter on this and it will action this item, or I can come down my list and kind of see everything else that is in here with the associated shortcuts related to the file manager. Again, we're not going to go through every single option, but
Mark unmark, backspace with L.
this is very important. If I wanted to mark or unmark multiple files or folders, I can do so with backspace and the letter L.
Copy to. Backspace with Y.
Copy would be backspace and Y.
Move to. Backspace with X.
Move would be backspace and X, and so on. So you see that in the context menu, we have lots of shortcuts related directly to the file manager and how we can move or organize information. Not only are the options here, but their shortcuts are also listed. Now, I am going to activate the new folder option. So again, I'm going to come to the top of my context menu.
Top. New folder.
And I'm going to
space
press
with N.
enter here on new folder. Again, alternatively, I could have just pressed space with N because I would have known that command, and space with N would do the same thing. I'm going to press enter here.
Storage.
And I'm placed into a new folder edit box.
New folder.
And here I'm placed in the edit box
Folder
for
name
a
edit
new
box.
folder. So I'm going to type in the word science. And again, as I look at my cursor, I see that it is not a single dot, meaning I can use my literary braille code to type in the word science. So I'm using UEB contracted braille here. I type in SCI 56E as in science. I press enter and
Science. Storage. Alarms.
now I have the word alarms. So again, it has that 8 dot full cell preceding it, meaning it's the alarms folder. If I press the letter S,
Samples. Science.
I have science here as a folder. So I have just created the science folder. Again, to recap, space with N gets you is the new folder shortcut. You can also utilize the context menu to go in and find all of those shortcuts. And it's as simple as opening the location of where you would like to create the new folder and then performing that shortcut. If I wanted to create a subfolder, let's say I opened the science folder, I could then do a space with N and create a folder within science, maybe for my mitosis lesson or something, where I'm going to categorize, all of the material related to that particular lesson, or maybe I'm doing it week by week or unit by unit or so on. So you can create subfolders as well.
Great job, Peter. So now what I'd like you to do is, again, using the context menu, I would like you to copy some files over to that newly created science folder. So I've noticed that in your documents folder, there are a couple of files. One in particular is called test. So I'd like you to copy the test file over to the science folder using the context menu to copy and paste that over.
Sounds good. So what I'm going to do, so again, I'm on my storage drive and yeah, I've created a file. I didn't maybe save it in the right location. How do we copy content or move content? I'm going to come into my documents folder. So I'm going to hit D.
Some. Documents.
Press enter.
Documents. This is a test.docs.
So this is a test and we see that it's a docx file and this is what I want to copy into my science folder. Right now it's in my documents folder. If I open the context menu,
Context menu. New folder.
I will see that
space with N.
the copy command, which we just went over, is backspace Y.
Copy to. Backspace with Y.
So I can press enter here to invoke this command. So I'm going to press enter and it's going to activate the copy option on the file that I'm focused on. So again, you can get to the file and press backspace Y, or you can get to the file, open the context menu, and then choose copy.
Documents. This is a test.docs. Copy to. Storage. Alarms.
What happens is when I activate copy to, it keeps me in the same drive that I was in. So I'm in storage. If I wanted to move up a level and choose a different drive, I could, either by pressing D with space to get to drive selection or using the back button on my device to move up a level. In this case, though, I'm already in my storage drive. I heard it say storage. That's good. So I'm going to open the location that I want to copy this folder to, this file to, which is science. So I'm going to press the letter S.
Samples. Science.
I'm going to open the science folder by pressing enter on it.
Science. No items.
It has no items. Now, this is where I want to complete the copy action. I want to complete the action of copying and get that file, this is a test, into my science folder. And again, there will be a duplicate because I'm copying this. I'm not moving it, but copying it. So I will have a copy in my documents folder as well as in my science folder. This process will ring exactly the same if we're moving. So again, we open the location of where we would like to copy or move that file, and we press backspace with the letter A to complete the action. In this case, to complete the copy action. So I'm going to press backspace with A.
T. Copying one item. Documents.
And it
this
says
is a test.docs.
copying one item, and then again, I'm placed back in my documents folder looking at this file. So just to show you that it actually did go into the science folder that I just created, if I open my storage drive or just move up one level back into storage,
Storage.
and I open science,
samples. Science.
you will see
Science. This is a test.docs.
that this file is here. And again, there's no 8.full cell preceding it. I know it's just a file. Certainly I know that by the file extension as well. But this is how we can quickly copy a file from folder to folder. Or if we needed to, if we were opening a different drive, we could also copy from drive, from our USB drive to a folder, for instance.
Great job, Peter. So now my next task for you is to delete multiple files. Now I notice in the training folder, there are some old files that you no longer need. And so to keep organized, I would like you to delete those 2 files, again, using the context menu to mark those individual files. Are you ready?
Let's do it. So I'm going to delete, there are 2 files that I no longer need. One is a bicycle, the other one is Alice in Wonderland. So I'll show you how, again, this is how we can mark multiple items. And in this case, delete them, but we could copy or move multiple items as well. So maybe you have 5 files that you need to mark, and get into a specific folder. We'll kind of walk through how to do that. So again, I'm in my science folder still. I'm going to move up one level by pressing my back button or space with E to move up one level back into my storage drive.
Storage.
I'm going to open
Alarms.
my training folder. So I'm going to press the letter T,
Training.
open this up.
Training. Alice in Wonderland.brf.
Now, this is one of the files that I want to delete, AliceInWonderland.brf. The delete shortcut is in the context menu, and it is backspace with 2, 3, 5, and 6. Backspace with a dropped G. If I press that right now, it would say, do you want to delete this file? And I would say yes. However, to make it easier on yourself so that I don't have to delete this one and then go delete the next one and then delete the next one, if you want to mark multiple items, you can press backspace and the letter L, as in long press, backspace with L to mark an item. So I'm going to mark this file.
Alice in Wonderland.brf.
And what happens is the word, the words in the file name become underlined on my Braille display. Now I am going to come down to the next file.
Bicycle.jpg.
And this is a bicycle JPEG that I have, and I want to delete this as well. So again, I'm going to long press it.
Bicycle.jpg.
And I see now that both of these files are underlined. Both of these file names are underlined, meaning they are both selected. At this point, if I activate the delete command, instead of just deleting the one file I was focused on, since I have marked multiple files, I will be able to delete both of them. If you accidentally mark something, you can unmark it with backspace and L. Again, locate the file you've accidentally marked that is underlined. Backspace with L will unmark. I'm going to perform the delete command, backspace with a dropped G, or 2, 3, 5, 6.
Delete 2 files.
And it says delete 2 files. Do I want to delete 2 files? And if I use my space bar or my down arrow on my D-pad,
Cancel.
I can cancel and say, no, I didn't mean to, I don't want to delete these 2 files. Or if I come down again,
OK. Button.
I have an OK button. I'm going to press enter and both of these will be deleted.
T. Deleting 2 items. Training. Spatialmath.brf.
All right. And now I've removed those 2 files.
Great job, Peter. Okay, for the next task then, I'm going to show you how we can connect the Monarch to a PC or a laptop. So it allows you as a teacher to transfer files easily. So you could transfer them by dragging and dropping them. There are other means of transferring files and folders. So you could, of course, use USB, but this is a way that you can connect your Monarch to your computer, and you can then drag and move files to and from your PC to the Monarch itself. So the first thing that you need to do is change the type of connection mode that your Monarch is set to. So by default, your Monarch is connected to charge whenever it's detecting a USB plugged in. So that's the first thing that we need to do. So to do that, we need to go into our quick settings. To go into our quick settings, we could press enter with the letter Q to go to quick settings.
Settings. Connected devices. Bluetooth. Pairing.
And so at this stage, we then need to go to the connected device. So you can use your space bar, your backspace, your first letter navigation to navigate around here. Remember that. So we're going to go into connected devices, which my focus is currently on. I'm going to hit the enter key.
Connected devices.
The next item we want to go to is USB. So we want to change the way or change the behavior of when we plug in a USB. We want it to do something different than to charge. So I'm going to space along until I get to the USB.
Other devices. USB. Charging this device.
So at the moment it's set to charging this device. So I'm going to press enter because I want to change that.
USB preferences.
And we're going to go through this preferences by we're going to hit spacebar to go through what options we have.
Navigate up. USB. USB control. Radio button. Not ticked. Radio button. Not ticked. This device. Use USB for.
Okay, so use USB for. I'm going to space
Radio
along.
button. Not ticked. File transfer.
File transfer. So this is the option I'd like you to enable. So I'm going to hit enter to check that. So now I'm going to switch over to my Windows Explorer on my PC, and you'll notice under my device and drive, so I've gone to this PC, and under device and drives, I can see Monarch. So Monarch is located just next to my C drive and all the other drives that you may have on your computer. So I can click into the Monarch drive, and that will take me into the options available. So I have internal shared storage. If I had a USB plugged in, it would also detect that as well. But I'm going to select my internal shared storage, and now I can view all of the folders and files that are located within my Monarch. I can create a new folder. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly create a new folder in my Monarch, and I'm going to call this Maths and hit the enter key. So I've now got a new folder there. And now I'm going to drag and drop files in to that folder. So I'll select the maths. I'm going to double click with my mouse to go into that. And on my PC, I will drag 2 files. In fact, I'm going to drag in my maths test and spatial math. So one's a docx file and one is a BRF. And I'm just going to drag them in to this folder. And that will then take these 2 folders in, and that is it. Hey presto, they are in. So next time I turn my Monarch on, or if I go to my Monarch, which I will do next. Okay, now I'm transferred over to my Monarch, and we're going to see those 2 files that I've transferred over. So let's go back into the file manager, F for file, enter to select. And remember, I created a new folder called maths. So let's have a look, see if that's there. I'm going to hit the letter M. There it is. Enter on maths. And here we have our math test.docx and our spatial math. So keep in mind, you can do this to and from the device. If you need to bring in any files from your Monarch and transfer them to your PC, you can do that also. Maybe a typical use case would be that the student has completed their work and you need to then grab the file to review it and write in there to make some changes, or just write some comments and then put that back in. So there we have it. That's how you transfer files to and from a PC. Okay, Peter, so the next task I'd like you to do is copy a file to your thumb drive. This is another way of transferring data from your Monarch to a PC. So the document that I'd like you to copy over to your thumb drive is This Is a Test, which is located in your Now Science folder. And I'd like you to insert your thumb drive and paste it in to the thumb drive.
Sounds good. So I have a thumb drive, and again, we do support USB-A and USB-C thumb drives. So either port will work for thumb drive support. I'm going to plug in my thumb drive here, and you'll hear the Monarch say,
Disk 20, USB device attached. Science. Happy thumb, added.
all right, Happy Thumb, which is the name of my thumb drive. So Happy Thumb has been added, and it will now show up in drive selection as a drive that we can access. So again, in this case, I'm copying to the thumb drive. The same process will work if you're copying from a thumb drive. So I'm going to open my science folder.
Science. This is a test.docs.
Now I'm going to move this to my thumb drive. I'm not going to copy it, I'm going to move it. Again, if I copied it, I would just be duplicating it. Moving it, I'm going to press backspace and the letter X when I'm on the file. Again, that shortcut is located in your context menu. Backspace with X will say move to.
Move to. Move to.
Okay, now
Storage.
it puts me into my storage
Alarms.
drive. This is not where I want to be. I want to choose a different drive. So I'm going to press D as in drive, D with space.
Drive selection menu. Storage.
So I don't want storage. I want to move this to my Happy Thumb, or my thumb drive.
Happy thumb.
So I press my space bar, and now again in drive selection, in addition to storage, I have Happy Thumb. I'm going to press enter,
Happy
open
thumb.
this up,
Alarms.
and what happens is here is all of the content on my thumb drive. Now I'm not going to put this in a specific folder. I'm just going to complete the move action again by pressing backspace with the letter A. And now this file will move from my science folder over to my USB drive.
Moving one item. Science. No items.
Perfect. And now my science folder has no items in it because I've just moved that file out. So again, backspace with X to move, backspace with Y to copy. We choose the drive we'd like to move to. D with space brings us to drive selection. We open where we'd like it to go, and then backspace A to complete the action. Now I can take this drive out. I can just remove it. I can just pull it out. You don't have to do a eject or anything like that. Take the drive out, put it in your computer, and the file will be there as another way to move content to and from a separate location.
Okay, great job, Peter. So your last task then is to rename the science folder. So now that you have no files in the science folder, I'd like you to rename that one in preparation for your next lesson, which is Spanish.
Spanish. All right. So I am going to come out of the science folder and back into my storage drive.
Storage.
By pressing
Alarms.
space with E or using my back button. I'm going to find the folder, or again the file, whatever I'd like to rename. I'm going to press S here in this case to move down to
Samples.
Science.
Science.
So I just pressed S twice, or you could press S and then move down with your D-pad. I'm on my folder that I'd like to rename. And again, the context menu, if I open it, I would see that the rename command is backspace with the letter R. I'm going to press backspace R.
New name edit box. Science.
And I'm put
Rename.
into an edit box, and the entirety of my current name, the word science, is selected. So if I just start typing, I will rename this. I just
Dots
typed
1,
in
4,
Spanish.
6.
I'm going to press enter.
Spanish. Storage.
And now
Android.
on my storage drive, if I press the letter S,
Samples.
here's samples. And again, before this, it used to be science was right below samples, but now
Spanish.
here's Spanish. So again, rename, backspace with the letter R. Your full name becomes selected in an edit box. You can just start typing the new name and away you go. Press enter and you will have renamed your folder or your file. Again, if I wanted to delete this folder, we've been through this, but backspace with a dropped G would delete a folder, and certainly all of its contents if you had lots of files in it. So this is a wrap up of this classroom module. Again, all focused on folder and file management. We started by talking about the general structure of the file manager. We looked at how we can create a new folder in a location. We looked at how we are able to copy or move files between folders. We looked at how you can connect a drive and actually move things to and from USB. We've looked at connecting to a computer. We've looked at marking multiple items, and we've looked at renaming. Not in that particular order, but that's a summary of everything that's been covered in this video. And so we really hope this has been helpful, and certainly we will have other classroom module videos for you as well, including math and others to come. So please stay tuned for more Monarch classroom modules. Thank you, teacher Flatris.
Thank you, student Peter. Great work.